Hey guys, we have Megan Leon Cox. Why don't you tell us your day one experience in North Dakota when you landed there to film Trapped? What happened? Who came to pick you up? And what was the car ride like?
It was you. It was so exciting. We had several meetings over Zoom, so it was finally nice to meet in person, and it was exciting. Like I'd never been to North Dakota. I experienced cold weather, definitely. It was very cold. And the car ride was it was discovery mode. I'm just kind of in awe and nervous, hoping I had done all my work because here we go, kind of thing. And yeah, just really open to whatever came. So that was the car ride.
Everybody was out of their comfort zone, so to speak, for the entire film because we were there for 30 days and the temperatures were in -20, -30, and it was freezing. And some days we couldn't even start the car, we couldn't push the car out. We would, and we couldn't even go out and film because of the snow. What was going on in your mind at that point? Like, what were you thinking?
It was a great learning curve because this is how it's going to happen on every set. It's like, make sure you've prepare for any and all changes. It's like, okay, you stay up, you prepare one scene, and the next morning, okay, the weather changed. We're doing this scene. So you got to be able to be flexible. You got to be able to juggle, and just go with the punches, move with the flow. And another aspect of acting is like tuning your nervous system and just going with the flow. And so that was a learning curve for me, and that was really great to learn. Just be prepared for anything and everything. And I think the magic comes out of that not knowing.
You guys have not seen the footage, but I have. I'm looking at your faces every single day. And yes, you guys have created magic. It was minus God knows what. The winds were blowing like crazy. And here I am asking my actors to come out and step out of the car and, perform. And they had a lot of layers on. And everybody did such an unbelievable job. One of the things that I noticed while we were filming, which I noticed more in the edit, is that everybody's ears were like red, like tomatoes.
Oh God.
We had a scene where you were to come out of the truck drunk, and instead of coming out of the truck, you gave it your all, and it was -20. Winds were blowing hard. It was cold. There was no ground to see. It was all snow and ice. And Megan opens the door, and instead of stepping out, she falls down. I first thought that you really fell down. And then I asked you to do it again. I'm like, wow, she did it exactly the same way. That was perfect. So,
I'm glad you loved it. It was not for nothing, I guess. That's good.
so at that point, that you're doing it for the love of acting. So, um, because no one in their right minds would do it. And I think, if anyone would do something like that, it would be actors because the passion and the love for acting was so much. And it just came out of all you guys. You guys were so into it. It's insane. It's insane. But I'm totally blessed. I'm actually totally blessed to meet you, Megan. I think you're such an amazing, amazing performer. And so happy to have you on one of my projects. That's great. Thank
That
you so
means
much.
That means so much to me, and I'm so happy that I met you and you're in my life, and I totally feel like it's meant to be because we have the same birthday. But I'm also just my dream has always been to work with art tour directors, and you're one of them. So I'm so grateful that I've had the experience, and now we have a great project together. So I'm so happy.
We'll have many more.
Great. I can't wait.
Megan, please tell your audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I live in LA, Los Angeles. I've been here for 10 years plus. I studied in New York as well. I lived there for 2 years. I grew up in Texas, born and raised, and my mother was really enamored with cowboy culture. She was a New Yorker that moved to Texas and just wanted to be around cowboys
Oh, wow.
and became a cowgirl herself. So she would go to these cowboy gatherings where they had like chili cook-offs and cowboy music and rodeos. And Also cowboy poetry. So when I was like 5, and my sister was 3, my mother had my sister and I perform them on stage after she would play her music. And so some of the poems were, well, most all the poems were written from middle-aged men, cowboys, and so having a 5-year-old girl speak these words about like, I'm going to quit booze, women, and cigarettes, is hilarious to the audience. So I didn't know the meaning of the poem, but the people were laughing. So that's what got me excited about acting and performing. It's just,
Wow, so you were 5 years old, huh?
yeah, I was 5, and so I knew something was there. And then, when I went to school in middle school, I got involved in theater, and then, high school, I had a really great musical theater program, so I got involved there, and then I went to New York on a field trip and saw Broadway, and I was just like, "Okay, this is it." So I went to LA for college, and then I enrolled in like a more immersive acting program, which was based around theater technique. And so my first love is really theater, which eventually led to my passion and interest in film. And it's different, but you still have an audience. It's your crew, and it's just a little, it's a little different, but I love both.
Was your experience in theater in New York? Because New York is the capital, not LA.
Both, actually. When people think of LA, you don't think of theater, but we had a really good small theater, 99-seat theater kind of crowd still, and you could still find really great theater here. I think it's interchangeable, but yeah, New York puts more emphasis and there's a little bit more respect out there in New York with theater. But I learned in both cities. I was part of a theater company here in LA, and I was part of a theater company in New York. I did a couple readings off Broadway for NAMT, which is some musical theater. That was really fun. So that was like the biggest production I was involved with. But I also studied under the late Win Handman, who studied directly under Sandy Meisner. But he died of COVID, unfortunately, at 97 years old. So it was kind of like a living relic, and it was amazing to study with him because he taught so many amazing actors in his time. I was able to, audition for theater and film. It's more respected, and that felt a little more fun. And I saw amazing shows on and off Broadway.
What is the major difference between LA and New York?
New York, it's bustling. You have so many cultures packed into one area. It gave me a broader sense of life. It gave me a broader sense of work, grit, kind of your own like drive. It's also an inundation of the senses. Like you're surrounded sensorially in this like bustling city, so you have a lot to draw off of, a lot more people to witness. LA, there's a little bit more room to breathe. Maybe a little bit more quiet, a stillness of the mind so that you can be more reflective and go inside yourself a little bit more. Because
Mhm.
I think that's very important to be self-aware as an actor. The more you know yourself, the more you can know someone else. And so that's the work.
So I have lost many, many friends to LA. They are acting in New York, and all of a sudden they're like, nope, this is not the place for me. It has to be LA. What do you have to say about that myth that goes around that if you reach LA, that's it, you're done. You will be successful. What do you have to say about that?
LA and New York are very interchangeable. I have so many friends who go back and forth from one place goes to LA and vice versa. And, there's no formula for success in this industry. And you just kind of have to deal with that. And you just got to carve your own path and believe in yourself and believe in what you have to offer and what you have to say and work hard at defining your toolkit, and your skill set and capabilities. It really depends on what's going to sustain your lifestyle, really, because everyone has this different lifestyle and different needs. I loved New York. It was a grind. I feel like my quality of life is a little bit better in LA. That can support me in my life and just keep me going just day to day because you need that.
Do you think that a young person coming into the industry where do you suggest they go to get more experience? LA or in New York?
I would suggest New York. There's just more opportunity. And if Broadway is your goal, that's where you gotta go. You gotta go, you gotta go where it's at, broad. But that's not to say that there are really great theater companies. I will say though, after COVID, a lot of theater houses have closed in LA, and you kind of have to know where to navigate your groups out here as far as theater is concerned. Again, film, you can do that in LA and New York as well. I think go where your contacts are first. If you have contacts in New York, go there first. It's about networking. It's about your people, finding your tribe. Work begets work. Um, that's a big thing. Start where you start where you're at. If you want to go to school, find a good school. Because that always helps too, I would say. For filmmakers, it's USC. That's a great cinematic master's program. There's tons of that in LA.
In modeling, you come in and you create a book, and then you get yourself an agent, and then you go out for castings, and then you land up with jobs, and then you move up the ladder. Is there such thing in acting?
I would parallel the lookbook, a model's book, to an actor's reel. So that's like your first thing. You need headshots to show off like a clean, like slate, like a clean version of just your personality through your face. Um, so headshots and a reel, and you can acquire a reel by doing student films, short films, any kind of project. You can write your own project and shoot it. It's so easy to make projects now. You've got iPhones, things are totally, acceptable on a really great iPhone, great camera. So, as an actor, you're always learning different monologues, different skits, sketch comedy, all that stuff can add up. And like I said, work begets work. Someone will see that you're real and be like, oh, she'd play that character well. And then boom, you book a role, and one day you meet Ejaz and you land a feature. And so, like you just really have to believe in what you're doing and love what you're doing.
Any suggestions on schools for young actors? I know you spoke about Meisner technique. How do they decide which technique works for them?
It's kind of like tasting ice cream. It's like, which flavor do you like? What's your propensity like toward, like you're inclined to like something more than the other, right? So you kind of have to try out a little couple things. If you can't go to a big city, just kind of reach out into your like local city. So there's three main kind of categories that came out of Stanislavski, which is Stella Adler, Lee Strasberg, and Sandy Meisner. I personally think it's great, like if you're, say, I like an art, like acting, to like being a magician. You got to have all your tools. You got to have a toolkit, and the bigger the toolkit, the easier it is for you to kind of create this magic.
Mhm.
um, Sometimes you have a favorite tool. Start there. I went to Stella Adler here conservatory, that uses the imagination. Meisner uses, character driven, and bringing your own life to the work. I use them all the time. When my life can't justify a circumstance in the script, that's when I go to my imagination and I recreate what happened, and it's as if it actually happened in my imagination. Imagination is a huge tool.
Tell us a little bit more about Megan.
Well, I love boxing. I've been boxing for 7, 8+ years on and off. The more you spar, the better you get. And you can just be an amateur boxer, or you could be a professional boxer, which I'm neither. I'm an actor. I don't want to get hit in the face. I'm my moneymaker here. But it's like, it's such a great discipline for your body. As an actor, you have to use your body. You got to learn your instrument, which is, one of them is your body, the other is your voice, the other is maybe perhaps your brain, or your instincts. But which live in the body. So it's a great way to stay in shape, learn new skills, discipline your body and mind. 'Cause that's what I like boxing, because it requires both, just like kind of dance or any kind of physical activity. So I like doing that. I also read the tarot. That's one of my side
That's
jobs.
good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I read tarot. I'm into mysticism, metaphysics. I'm a huge Carl Jung fan. I'm in a Jungian depth psychology workshop right now, which also I feel like feeds into my acting, because it's just being self-aware. It's analyzing the personality, expanding your consciousness, evolving your soul. And that to me means that you're able to anchor in more compassion. So as an actor, the biggest asset you can have is compassion. That's what is going to allow you to step into someone else's shoes. And whether that be a villain or not, I love playing villains. I love playing scapegoats. I love all that, because you can see full circle, like where they're coming from and why they're doing what they're doing.
How do you choose your roles?
I choose my roles based on the writing of the character. If the writer has written like a full realized human, it's easier for me to step in. Of course, I can fill in the holes and fill in the gaps, but it's really important as an actor to portray not just one-sidedness. You know, we're all walking contradictions. We all have a certain dichotomy, and that's being human. So the more fully realized the character is, the more fun it is. I like adventure. I like shooting on location. I like independent films. I like our tour directors. I like someone who has a certain style and a vision. You know, all of these things come together when you're looking to look for a role. My favorite characters to play are a little wild, a little unhinged, but I also like, on the opposite, I want to play something more self-possessed, you know, a little bit more upper class, you know. But what I tend to play are like lower class, like unhinged kind of wild characters, which that's kind of my favorite go-to.
So is this a love acting for you?
Yes, it's a love-hate. It's like a, but I wouldn't say hate. I don't think I would say, I think I think when I say love hate, it's almost like writing, you know, it's like the process, it's hard. It's hard. But when you're free to just be, it's love. It's just, it flows.
If someone came to you today and said, "Hey, Megan, I'm going to give you $50 million, but you cannot act anymore," what is going to be your response?
I mean, for me, that would be like selling my soul. It would be like, for me, I would know that that would not be the right decision for me. I mean, I was gonna say that's stupid, but some people would take it. It's fine, you know, it's fine. But like, it's such a part of my essence and being, and that I don't need, uh, it's a sustenance that $50 million couldn't fill.
So, is it true that acting is the most major part of every actor's love in life? Over money, over everything else?
But it is true, like, when you see actors, they've got a taste. It's so powerful. And I think what that power is, or what that love is, because it's just tapping in to being seen and heard and connecting with other people. I think that at its essence is what is so exciting about acting. And, you know, that's why it doesn't matter at the end what it brings to you. It's what you're already fulfilled because of doing it. And it would be nice to have a life where you're sustained by your art. Of course, that's the goal. That could be a goal and the dream. Um, but when you're tapped into that kind of magic of life, that's what's so exciting, I think.